with Benjamin. Today first, before I do that, I'm gonna go analyze a game with that I just recently played yesterday. The game was with Benjamin Feingold. I actually did pretty well at first, and then I ended up losing on time. I'm not 100% sure about the end. It said that it was one analyst said that he was winning, another one said it was even, but I still lost on time regardless. It was a pretty good game. Part of me feels like he actually was just kind of maybe goofing off a bit because, you know, but it was still a good game. And just give me a second. I'm going to be sharing this real quick with my group so people can join. Okay, I'll just get started now. I just give myself a little bit of time to see if anyone joins. I don't want to spend too much time on that. So here we go. Okay, I'll just get started now. I just give myself a little bit. Oops. I didn't realize I had the feedback like that. So definitely didn't realize I had the feedback like that. Okay. So, all right. One second. I think I messed up my video for a second. Okay. I always start with e4. That's always my first move. And he did the Sicilian. Knight f3 is what I normally play. I like playing the Alpine, which is my normal move. I never really play anything else as white. I always play the Alpine. All right. Hello, Petrie. Repeat. But I always play the Alpine. The reason why I play this opening is because there's lots of traps that I know in it. Usually after involving this move, which was I don't think it was ever played, but just it was fine either way. And this usually transposes into like the French defense in a way. It's usually very similar to that with the added, pressure with this. That's very normal. And because of that, I usually end up playing bishop to d3 in these lines because with the pressure like this on the pawn, that's very normal. I like to just take the knight. Is what I usually do. I don't want to learn all the crazy theory and figure out a whole bunch of stuff and how to do all different type of things. So I just kind of just trade it off and make it simple for myself. Because I'm not a super positional player, so I don't trade immediately either. By the way, and the reason why is because I want to wait until everything is developed accordingly, which happened faster than I thought it would. So I just went off. Maybe in the future I will just take it immediately, but normally I go back because most people don't usually do that. But so I kind of gave him a chance, get an extra turn, I guess. So I know in the future not to do that. I just take it right away probably. But I'll look at that later. Or actually, I can look at it now. That's not the point of this, anyways, right? Let's see if they think this is a good move. One of the top three. Wait for the evaluation to kick in. There's just one bishop f5. Okay, so d takes e5 is one bishop takes and bishop f5. Okay, so it is one of the moves. I played back a little bit, which was not one of the top three. I don't think it was really that bad though, but let me see. Yeah, it's important to remember these things too. Like when you analyze your openings, if it's like book moves, you kind of want to remember them. So yeah, it wasn't really the best move. So I probably in the future when I see this, I'll just take right away. Usually I go back and then take it if needed, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to remember that. So and then I usually take this to avoid complications because right now he has these three attacking here, and I have these two here defending. So I take that. Now it's two defenders and two attackers, so my pawn is safe for now. Knight castle. He moves in, and this is all still stuff that was very familiar to me. Um, this is pretty normal development, just developing a piece, getting ready to castle. Me preventing me because I want to bring my queen into the game at some point, maybe even push pawns. So I kind of need to make sure that this knight doesn't come in, or the bishop pinning if I want to bring my rook in for like a lift or something. And also, after I move here, then my bishop can have some activity. So this move right here, I don't normally play just to play. Like, and I don't play it only to block this knight. It also, like I said, prevents the bishop from pinning in here. It also allows me to push up, so my bishop can come out. It allows my rook to come in a little easier because I can't move the bishop out because that will be for free. So like normally I don't like playing moves like this too often, but this had like a lot of purpose, so I liked it just for that situation. Mhm. And yeah, because yeah, and again, I had to do that in order to my bishop because that pawn. If I moved bishop anywhere else and this pawn was here, it'd be for free. So I wasn't interested in doing that. And that was the first interesting move. I knew that obviously if I captured it, he would capture it back, and then I had to figure out what to do with my knight. And I decided instead of going for that, just to do a little counterattack type thing on his queen, which I thought was pretty good. I felt very creative when I did that because that's not a normal move that I go for. But I really felt like here I can go here and then come back and then maybe close off the C file because that's where his rooks usually are pretty strong, you know. So in his type of lines, at least that's from my knowledge. I'm not 100% sure. Um, this right here said it was I think a blunder in my initial analysis, but I want to see if it actually does it. Says it here too. Yeah. For some reason, it was considered that. I really don't even know. They didn't even think it was at the time. Um, there was different ways I could have dealt with it, which all were indirect. Bishop c3, bishop c1, rook to b1. So obviously I didn't notice it. It was more of a personal thing. I don't even know why. I would decide to go this way because I felt like if he takes and I take back, I'll be hitting the pawn, um, kind of forcing the situation, and then maybe even coming in because it's defended with the bishop. So I was kind of thinking about that as a possibility. And of course, he moves pawn, so therefore I had to move the knight, and then if he did capture afterward, it wouldn't be the same effect. So that's why it wasn't. That's why moving this rook wasn't a very good move. I take. Yeah, this is going pretty slow actually, to be honest. The evaluation on here. I want to see if I can change it, the settings. Okay. I don't think there's a way to make it faster. All right. He takes back. Knight to c3. Knight to d2, I mean. Basically getting out of the danger from this pawn. So I came over here. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going the knight at that point, but I didn't really have anywhere else to go. Like I didn't really have. I obviously couldn't go here because he was just captured with his bishop. So this is the only square I had with him. So I had no idea exactly what I was doing at the time. I just knew I had to get out of there. That's what I did. And he started pushing the pawns. I wasn't too worried about it because I know my king is pretty safe. I had all the pawns up here. I had my rook here, my knight here, my queen here, and he had two of his bishops. So I wasn't really too worried about it at the time. I felt like I was pretty safe, and I also knew that if lines opened up, I might be able to bring my pieces in. So I wasn't too worried about it at the time. And then, of course, I tried to close it off again, the whole structure thing, so he couldn't. I was trying to prevent him from being able to come in. And that was the point of this move. And I was still doing a little better. Going with knight. Where was the free piece at? I didn't. Wait a second here. Okay, that's what it was. When he came down, then I took it. Yeah, okay. When I threatened his queen, I was defending my bishop. And yeah, okay. I noticed it in the game and I'm not doing analysis and I didn't realize it. And I'm like, I didn't understand exactly what, but okay. That's when I had the free piece. Okay. Attacking the knight. Which I wasn't I wasn't worried about it. I actually wanted to trade pieces once I had a free piece, so I was looking for those, and he pretty much avoided almost all the trades that I tried to do. Like I tried to do a queen trade here, just because um, I know that trading pieces would be better for me, and he avoided it. And then I tried to attack the queen again, and he moved it. And that's when I took the bishop because what I'm trying to do here at this point was trade pieces, so therefore I can be winning because I already was up a little bit in material, and so far I'm doing pretty well. It's like a plus almost 6. So I take, he takes back, and I'm not entirely sure why I did this right here. I don't know if because the whole point of keeping this here was to, you know, stop his rook from coming in. I probably should have did something else. Maybe bring the knight queen down or something. Let's see if they find a better move for me. But I kind of think that was the start of me not really playing my best. Was when I started going over here, and then that's when I started losing. I think not immediately, but slowly after that. Okay, the computer actually likes bishop to b4. Based on what I wanted to do, I don't understand why I did that. I probably would have preferred queen to b4 now looking at it, but it's kind of almost the same thing, but this keeps off the rook, which was important to me. And he starts coming with the pawns. Like I said, I wasn't really worried about it because I knew that there was nothing really there. And for some reason, I moved back instead of moving the pawn up. I believe that it might have been better for me to just move the pawn up here because if he would have taken it, I could take it back. But then again, that'd be a free piece. So I was probably worried about the piece right there. So I guess that makes sense. Okay. It's weird looking over my game, not remembering everything that I was thinking. you know. And then I moved up. I wasn't worried about these opening up because he didn't have much. I didn't see a way for him to really come in because I can defend because of my knight. My queen can come up here and defend. So I wasn't super worried about it. And I thought that was a good move. The computer did not like it at all because I wasn't worried about him coming in because I was worried about him coming in, but I figured after this, I was safe. But apparently, that was like a huge blunder, I believe. Yeah, I was winning, and then I did that. Um, Queen to f3 also probably was a natural move that I probably would have liked better. I would not have thought of Queen of b3 because that's just bringing it farther from my king. But that probably should have been more of a good move. Check, check, and then save his bishop. What I don't understand is, okay, my king's over here. He calls check, and then moves. So like he could have just moved. Maybe he was just trying to figure out what to do with his pieces. And then I made another mistake is by bringing my rook. I could have also again brought my queen in. So I brought my rook up and then queen to g4. He had this possibility, but he didn't do it. He moved king around, and then I lost some time. So it was a pretty good game. I'm not 100% sure. I think this was considered even, but I want to wait to see. Okay, it wasn't really even. He was winning, but it was a pretty good game. I was pretty happy about it. Especially because I was doing well at first, but I definitely have like two or three things that I've picked up on that I think I need to pay more attention to in the future. So, like the bishop thing, taking immediately was one of them. When my king's in danger, I don't know why I could just brought my queen in, and it was more solid. And I started doing other things like the f4, and then bringing the rook in and other weird stuff. Like I could have just did that. I'm sorry, this right here. And the other thing I didn't like is I had an idea of keeping the rook out, and then I moved it for some reason, which he brought his rook over here anyways. But the thing is that just kind of wasted the time, a tempo, so there was no reason for it. Little stuff like that. Now time for puzzles. Some puzzles. All right. The most important thing about puzzles is looking for checks, captures, and threats. That's the main three. I have a 12 list of forcing lists that I use for myself, but for to start off with, this is like super simple and very effective. So the first thing is checks. So normally you don't think about sacrificing your queen, but in the puzzles sometimes that actually happens a lot more in puzzles than games. But if you look at here called check, the king actually has nowhere to go. He has 3 pawns in front of him, and he has the king can't move. So this is a very common back rank mate to look for in a puzzle when you see this. And here, if you take it with the queen, you can take with the bishop, you can take with the rook and call it check. The queen will move back, and then you take it, and it'll be checkmate. That's one of the first things to look at when you with these puzzles is checks, captures, and threats, and also, and this is a common pattern for a back rank mate. So if you remember that, you also will be able to do it in your game. And how to prevent back rank mate for yourself is to usually move one of these pawns in the game. Well, not the F1, but this is pretty normal, and so is this with the Fiend Kettle. Usually helps prevent back rank mate. So, all right, checks, captures, and threats. Same thing. Once you see these, you should always look for a back rank mate immediately. especially in puzzles. And even in your games, you should always be mindful of being able to do that and for yourself. So this will be check, threatening the king. He'll move back, you take it. He'll move back, you take it, and that'll be checkmate. So that'll be another back rank mate puzzle. Okay. Again, your king is stuck in the corner. Look for a back rank mate. That's check. He'll move back, and that will be checkmate. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, basically the idea is to come back. Mate. This pattern with the queen and bishop on this diagonal, the F square, for black, it would be over here to the F7. Um, it's very similar if you learn the scholar's checkmate and understand that pattern. Usually it's like the queen over here, bishop over here, attacking this square for checkmate, or even your queen over here attacking the square for checkmate. The queen's over here instead, but it's basically the same thing. Queen goes to F7, that'd be a checkmate. That's a pretty common pattern. It's a battery. This is check. Same problem he has. His pawns are here. He can't move forward. And after you call it check, you call it check again and sacrifice your queen for a checkmate. Check. Check. A checkmate. Okay. The king is, even in front of all these pawns, this rook is here, this rook is here, so it's another back rank checkmate. Now I look for checks. The only check is this one right here, and it happens to be checkmate because it's protected by the bishop, and it's not defended by any pieces. The king can't take it because it's defended. The queen's defended, so that'll be checkmate. It's also a very common pattern for bishop and queen. Here, the first thing, I mean, this is a really weird one, but this is a check and this is a check. This one fails because it can be taken by the pawns. But this check right here only works because it's pinned by the queen. And it's checkmate. Basically, take here, you're threatening the king, and nothing can capture. And the queen can't capture because this queen has it pinned. If the queen would move out the way, you would basically take the king. So that would be checkmate. Checks, captures, and threats. The same thing. Queen, bishop, battery. All the way to h2, it's check. The king can't move anywhere because the queen has all those squares covered. She's attacking all these squares. And that would be checkmate. Checks, captures, and threats. This is a check, but it fails to the rook, and there's no follow-up. There's nothing to follow up with. This fails because it just takes it. So it's not, and there's no checks really, except for one, and that one's not good. So it's not a check. Captures. Let's see here. What captures are available? Well, first off, my queen's in danger. So if I move anything, he can just take my queen. So I'd have to figure something out with my queen, I would believe, and attack something at the same time. We have material. So because of that, I feel like I'm not really entirely sure where the best place for my queen is. I can't stand this diagonal because the rook. I can't go here because the queen. I can't go here because the queen and the pawn. And I can't go here because the queen. I can't go here because the pawn. I can't go here. I can't go here because the queen. I can't go here. This is the only safe square. So, and it looks really awkward placed. So I don't like it. Um, so I'm trying to find a different move. But my guess is that that might be it. It just seems really awkward to me. Um, Another idea is maybe to move the bishop in front of the queen, but he can attack the bishop. And if I move the bishop, he'll have the queen. And if I don't move the bishop, he'll keep the bishop. So I'm guessing this is it right here. Uh, like I said, I don't like it, but I'll try it. Yeah, I didn't like it. It was definitely something else. I mean, maybe a counterattack against his queen, like rook to e7, maybe, or yeah, maybe rook to e7, attacking his queen. So I didn't think aggressive enough. I just thought of just making the queen safe, which it was. Yeah. Okay. Checks, captures, and threats. Do 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 do. This is a check, but he can just take it with the bishop or the queen. So that's definitely not it. This is a check, and the king can't move because the bishop has it covered. The king can't go up because the bishop has that covered. And the knight can't take it because it's pinned with the rook. I don't see how it's that low rated, to be honest. Unless they just expect you to do a random check and hopefully win with the puzzles. This is the check, and he can't go here. He's covered by the queen, covered by the queen. So that'll be checkmate. He can't go anywhere because every square is covered by the queen. So that'll be checkmate. Checks, captures, and threats. This right here is, like I said, is a common pattern of the queen and bishop attacking. The king, nothing's defending it, so checkmate. So I just go ahead. Checks, captures, and threats. Checks, captures, and threats. I don't see any. Well, there's a check right here, and that's the only check. Well, there's a check right here too, but he'll just take it with the king. There's this check right here, and the king has nowhere to go. So the queen and everything's covered, so that'll be checkmate. I'll just go right ahead. Checks, captures, and threats. This would be check. He'll move back. Same issue with back rank mate is he's blocking by his own pawns. So you call it check, take, and checkmate. Yeah, back rank mate is one of the first checkmates you should remember how to do. It'll help you with a lot of games. It definitely will help you win a lot of games for sure. This is check. The king can move here or here, and it doesn't matter because once the queen takes this pawn, it's defended by the rook. Nothing's attacking the square. The king will be in this square, and he has no escape because everything is blocked off by the queen. So we checkmate. All right, checks, captures, and threats. Now, the square is weak, but I don't have it supported by a bishop. You know, like I would like it if I could, but I can't. So let's look for checks, captures, and threats. This check is bad because he would just take it. It's not defended. And this check right here would he be forced to make this move. He has no other legal move. And when he capture, it would be mate because it's attacking the king, and there's nothing that can block it. So that'd be checkmate. Checks, captures, and threats. First off, I'm in check, so I gotta deal with that first. If I move my king out the way, the bishop will take my queen. So that's definitely not the move. So I have to move my queen and defend my king at the same time. The only move that's legal that can do both is queen to g3. So I take. Now I take back. I can't take back with this pawn because it's pinned. So the only legal capture I have is this one. So checks, captures, and threats. Well, this is a check, but he can take it with the rook, and then we just basically lose everything. I can take it, but he can take it back with the queen. So those are bad checks. Obviously, this will be a bad check too. You just take it. This check right here, however, attacks the king and blocks off this diagonal. So the king, that will be checkmate. Right? I didn't notice that you can block it, but I'm lucky. I got another move in because the bishop. Checks, captures, and threats. This check. The first check I noticed. The king can't go anywhere here because these pawns will have everything covered. He can't move here because the bishop, which means the only square he has is back here. So he'll move back, and then this pawn come up called check, threatening that square. The bishop has this covered. This pawn's protected by this pawn, so that'll be checkmate. It's checkmate in 2 with your pawns. Check, and then checkmate. All right, checks, captures, and threats. This is a check, but the king will move up. So I don't have a follow-up. So that's not really good. I don't think that's it. Moving the bishop back would threaten this piece. But if I move it back, he can just move his rook up 1. And then if I call it check, he can move his rook back. And I don't really have a follow-up. So check, move up, check. Yeah, I don't really see what to do in this one, really, to be honest. Following checks, captures, and threats. Well, the check doesn't really do anything. He can move back. I can take this pawn, maybe. After that, taking the pawn, he can move back. And then the bishop will attack. Yeah, that'll be mate, actually. I didn't consider taking this one. So that would be checkmate. We check, check, and then mate. Okay. I boot. Yeah, this is a smothered mate pattern. You have the queen and the bishop and the knight. Basically, the way it works is that the queen will call check. It's protected by the bishop, so the king can't take it. So the rook is forced, and then the knight comes in to call check. And the king's here, the rook's here, and the 2 pawns are here. So basically, the king is blocked in. He's in check, and the king can't move. So he's blocked in by his own pieces. So that's a smothered mate pattern, checkmate pattern. It's really good to know. It doesn't come up very often in games, but when you first do it, you're gonna feel like an expert. You're like, yes. I remember when I first did those, I felt really accomplished, especially the checkmate with the pawns. That was the first time I did that. I felt like a master. All right, so checks, captures, and threats. The only check fails. Well, after a couple of checks, this check, he can just take it. So it's not. And these checks both fail because he can just capture it. So it's definitely not one of those checks. It captures. I can capture this, but he can capture it back. So it's not a check or a capture. So now I gotta look for threats. My rook is capable of threatening the queen, but the queen just can just move aside 1. So let's see here. If I move over, he can just move to the side 1. And let's see a follow up. I have another threat attacking the queen and the rook. This is a threat of winning a piece, a threat of a capture. So it's this right here. Should be. Okay. Now, if I take his queen, he'll take my queen, and then I can take his rook. So I'll be winning a rook, and I'm pretty sure that's the puzzle. Now, if I take, he probably will take with the rook, maybe, but if he doesn't, then yeah. Either way, I win a piece. Checks, captures, and threats. Now, if I move my knight anywheres, well, not anywheres. If I go over here, he can just take it with the bishop. But if I move check over here, because of my queen, the king is forced to move somewhere because he can't capture my knight because of the queen, and he can't capture my queen because my knight has the king in check. So this looks like a good forcing move. After that check, if he were to, I mean, he can move back, maybe call check again, but then he can just take it. So I'm not really liking that. Maybe bring the rook in. I'm not liking it too much. I do have just taking here immediately to threaten a check. It's not a checkmate because he can move up too. If I check now, he can also move up here. Yeah, I'm not liking this puzzle too much. I'm a little confused. I don't think this one is not forcing enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this move. Okay. And then this is another forcing move, which will bring the king in the game, allow the rook to come up and attack. Kind of like it. There's also a possibility of calling check this way, but then he can just move back. I don't really like that. I also can just take the rook, but actually, if I take the queen, he will take the queen, and I get to win the rook. So that's very direct. If I were to, let's say, call check and him take, and I move my rook into call check, it's a bit unclear to me. I mean, he can move back, but then my bishop can come here for mate. So he would have to move forward. And then with my bishop here, that'll be check. He can move sideways. That'll be check. He can move here. My rook in. Like, it's really crazy. I don't know. I mean, if I was playing a game, honestly, I would just take the queen and take back and may take the rook. That's what I would do. But if I have like a checkmate or something, I have to consider it. Otherwise, I'm counting pieces right now. Otherwise, if I didn't do that, I might miss out on a checkmate and then lose the puzzle. So I have to really consider it. So I'm gonna really, really make the effort to think about it. And he also can move back here. And then I'd be forced to take here and then take here. But if he goes here, I'll go over this one more time. Check. This check with the rook can be blocked with the bishop, which means that he's basically winning a piece. So I'd have to take and take it. Okay, because the bishop blocked the checks. Now, checks, captures, and threats. Let's see here. Checks, captures, and threats. Now, the only check I noticed is if I move a bishop somewhere, this would be check. So the most aggressive square is taking this pawn right here, because I'll be calling check and blocking off these squares. If he moves the king, he'll be forced to move to only one square. I don't really see a follow-up after that. I also have this check right here and threatening to win the rook, which is a lot better. He can block the check. He can move out of check. Either which way, that rook is for free. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. Checks, captures, and threats. This is a check and is threatening to win the rook. So if I call it check, he also can block. He also can defend his rook, by the way. And if he does that, I don't see a follow-up. Check. Defends his own rook. Maybe check here. Sacrificing the rook. Because that would be another check. And this would be covered. He'll move over. Another check. I don't like it. It's too messy. It's too messy. I don't like it. But if I call it check and he were to move over, I can take the rook for free with the queen. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, any puzzle under like 1700 shouldn't be very complicated. So it's very simple: checks, captures, and threats. That's why I focus on them. I'm under check. I can't take it. Well, actually, I can take it. Let's say I move over for some reason. That's a check. I had to move over back. He also can do a different check and take something, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. If I take it this way, he would just take back. And I don't have anything. So I'm going to move. Okay, that was bad. Checks, captures, and threats. This is a capture. If he takes it with the queen, I can pin the queen to the king. My knight has no other squares. Like, everything is bad. Everything is bad. This is the only square that I see is fine. Okay. All right, that was the puzzle. Checks, captures, and threats. This is another common pattern. Check, he'll take it. Check, he'll move back, and then the queen come down to h7 for mate. So rook to h8, king takes h8, queen to h3, check, king back to g8, then queen to h7 mate. This is a common rook sacrifice with the pawn right here. Now here, the pawn's coming down. I can call check. If he moves up, I can take the rook. And if he takes back, I want my king over one. His king's over here. And then I get to win the pawn. And then he can try to come out here and we'll try to, maybe I can even, I'll make a queen before he gets there. So it's definitely a win. And then I can make a queen. All right. Checks, captures, and threats. Black to move. Let's see here. Black to move. Checks, captures, and threats. This right here will lose. I don't see any checks, and I don't see any captures either. This isn't a very good threat because you just take it for free. I can threaten the bishop, but not. I don't think it's worth anything. I can take the pawn, threatening to move up. So in a game, I probably would just take this pawn, and then look to move the rook over to support it, and try to get something going. So I want to make that move. I think that's. Oh yeah, I was supposed to take the pawn first. All right, that was a good run for the puzzles. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna be going now, so all right. All right, good luck. Bye.